All right. I still have my spooky backdrop. You know what I should do? I should just print out a spirit from my book and just spirit and put it on the wall. So,
Sure.
and so I have it there. It's part of my learning lesson for my kids. Yes. So, hello, everyone. Welcome to
Afternoon, everybody.
yes, down the rabbit hole. And Rachel is still off this week. She's still dealing with her inner ear infection. So hopefully she can get that dealt with. I think she said she's got a doctor's appointment tomorrow, so she can get something to help clear that up. And then she'll be back with us. Yay! Because we miss her. It's always nice to have her input as well.
Of
So
course.
today's topic, Ian, you kind of came up with this last week when we were chatting, sort of thinking of a name for it because it's kind of a long subject matter. So I've
Right.
just put, are ghosts and spirits aware of the here and now? So our here and now as opposed to their here and now,
Which
right?
is a very
So
interesting question.
yeah, I think it is. And yeah, I've got my glasses on today so I can actually see what I'm, looking at. Because it does help from time to time when I have
That's a
to.
good thing. Sure.
Exactly. So that being said, I've kind of had this discussion numerous times with people. I'm sure you've probably had it in the past doing investigations and talking to people. They often ask questions about, do they know that, we're here, or do they recognize the house or the building or the location? And it's kind of just, I guess it's just up in the air. I mean,
It's
I
one of
don't know.
those unanswered questions that paranormal teams out there are looking for.
Right, right.
It's just unanswered because if you ask that question to 10 different paranormal teams, you're probably going to get 10 different answers.
Right. Or some variation of similarity, but still, different aspects of, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's kind of the thing. And it's funny. I just watched this little TED talk on, and I don't even remember her name now, but this woman who did a short TED talk on the scientific, sort of approach to the paranormal. And I know we discussed because we want to do a show on that, but it's a different aspect than, and she wound everybody up really good for about 10 minutes going on about, how she felt and all these things and all this stuff. And then she dives into the, I had called this person and called that person. I even went to the psychiatrist because I thought I was crazy and they wouldn't give me meds and all this. And she goes, and then one person said to me, do you think maybe you have a gas leak? And so she called the gas company and they came in and they said, apparently it's a good thing you called us because, you could have been dead tomorrow because you have a gas leak. So from that, she summed up that any experiences that she'd had were down to this gas leak, which I'm okay with, right? I mean, it happens, and you
Sure.
do sometimes experience very strange things, hallucinations, all kinds of things when you have a gas leak in your home. But I'm
But
still, but I'm
yeah,
still not going to say that, these things do not exist. And, I'm a science person. I have a Bachelor of Science. Hey, but I'm also a person who experiences and hears and feels. And, I will honestly say I have never seen a manifestation of a spirit. I've never seen one physically in front of me, but I do get it here. And I'm still of the happenstance or the mindset of, there is no possible way for me to know what these people looked like, especially in the past, especially when I don't have any previous knowledge of a place where I am. And I like that because I will not investigate a location that I know the history of already. Like if somebody's already told me the history of the location and I've already heard all ghost stories, I tend to not want to go there and do that investigation, because in my subconscious, there is always that, that knowledge. It's been implanted. So for me, I don't feel that my senses are going to be as accurate, because I'm maybe, and this is just, it's a maybe, but I may be tapping into my own preconceived notions of what I've heard. So I prefer to go to places where I don't know anything about it. I don't know who the people are. I don't know the location. I don't want to know. I don't even allow people to tell me what their experiences are before I go in. I don't want to know. So then I go in, and then I get my own experience. And then, when I walk out of there and I'm able to give you a first and last name, a visual in my mind's eye of what this person looks like, and then you can go and you can give me a photograph, a name, all of these things, historically, historical accounts. I still say that there is, while you can be skeptical, and I am skeptical, I'm very skeptical of many things, and I always try to eliminate every single possible thing until I come down to the common denominator. But what she had to say, and it was kind of funny, because at the end she was sort of like, well, I still really hope there's such a thing as ghosts, but after this experience, I've sort of realized that it was all just up here in my head, and this is probably what's happening out there in the world. And she was sort of making a joke of it. And I get it. It's a TED Talk. You got to talk about something. Right? You're going to stand up there in a TED Talk and you're going to, wind people up. You better have some kind of, thing to say. But I watched it and I was like, okay, I get it. I get what you're saying. But at the same time, I still can't explain what I have the ability to do. So unless you're telling me that I'm mentally unstable, that still doesn't answer the question of how am I getting names? How am I getting visuals? How am I getting things told to me that
Exactly. Yeah.
I have no connection to? So I don't know. I mean, there's always going to be people who believe and people who don't believe. And that's the beauty of it. It's kind of one of those things where, you can throw all the science you want at it. But as I've said in the past, spirits don't play under any kind of rule, right? So you could go into a monitored scientific experiment to communicate on a psychic level or whatever. It's not going to work, because honestly, from my experience, I can't just make it work when I feel like it. So I don't really know how to explain that. And I know that there's a lot of people that will say, oh, well, then it doesn't really exist. You're just making it up, or you're just, and I'm like, well, you know what? That's your opinion. You're a muggle. I'm sorry that your world is so limited. Because I've had people ask me that too, like interviewing me for the newspaper or whatever. And, they're like, so what's it like to not, when you don't, and I'm like, I don't know. I've never been a muggle. I don't know what it's like. I can't tell you what it's like to not hear this or not be aware of it. So either I've been crazy from birth, or I just have some other perception ability that has been, again, deactivated in some people. Not, there's a lot of people out there. And that's the other thing too, right? There's a lot of us out there. I think some of us might be playing a game. Some of us might be doing cold reads on people, and having those skills to socially engineer through questions, and manipulating and doing those things. And again, I'm not judging anybody who does that, but that's usually done for somebody's own benefit, right? Whether they're making money off of it or they're doing it as a gimmick or whatever the case may be. And I'm not talking about people who do this as a profession, like someone who's, like Kreskin or people like that, right? Those are people that are legitimately skilled